Welcome to Dust to Grace, where gumption meets grace and real life gets lived out loud. I am so glad you're here. Have you ever felt the fear and gone anyway? Or wanted to? Or wondered if you still could? That quiet, stubborn something that keeps you getting up, keeps you hoping, keeps you believing that there is still something good on the other side of this hard season. I know that feeling, and I believe it has a name. It is called grace. Before we get into anything today, I want to share with you something about roping. Not because you need to learn how to rope, but because I think once you understand what happens in that box, in that small corner of a rodeo arena, you're going to recognize something in yourself that maybe you haven't had words for yet. In breakaway roping, you back your horse into a corner. It's tight, intentional, and you wait. You nod, the chute opens, and a calf takes off running, and suddenly everything that was still becomes motion. You come out of that box with your horse underneath you and a rope in your hand, and you have one good shot. Just one. The loop opens, the calf is running, and at some point you feel it before you think it. Something inside of you says, it's not going to get any better than this. That's when you throw. Not when the fear is gone, not when it's perfect. Right then, you launch your throw. Now I want you to think about your box. Maybe it's not an arena. Maybe it's a kitchen table where there's a conversation you haven't been able to start. Maybe it's a dream you've been circling for so long the edges are worn smooth. Maybe it's a relationship, or a job, or a version of something you've been waiting to step into until conditions are just a little more right. You've been backed into that corner, and somewhere inside of you there is a voice, and it has been saying, it's not going to get any better than this. This is Dust to Grace, and today we're going to talk about what it means to launch your throw. I want to ask you something, and I don't want you to answer it right away. I just want you to let it sit with you the way a good question does on a quiet morning. What if the thing you've been calling not ready is actually just fear wearing a very practical disguise? Because here is what I know from years of roping and years of coaching and years of being a human being who has talked herself out of some of the most important moments of her own life. Fear is incredibly articulate. It will give you 12 very reasonable, logical, and responsible reasons why right now is not the time. It will sound like wisdom, it will feel like caution, and it will keep your loop spinning forever if you let it. Now, vulnerability is different. Vulnerability is not the absence of fear. It's the roper who has backed into that box enough times to know that voice says, go. Is not reckless. That voice is everything you've practiced, everything you've lived, everything you've been giving, telling you the loop is open. So what is it that you've been waiting to throw? I want to tell you about 3 different moments in a rodeo arena. Same dirt, same rope, completely different everything else. The first, I'm a girl in Nebraska, backing my horse into the box for a practice run. No score, no clock that matters. Nobody in the stands who is going to remember. Just me and my horse and a calf and a loop I've been building since I was old enough to hold a rope. There's no pressure in that box, and I know it. My shoulders are down. My breathing is easy. I nod my head. I come out. I make my throw. Easy, free, the way it feels when nothing is on the line. Now the second, the same girl, a different day. I'm backing into that box at the National High School Rodeo, and everything that was easy in practice has a heartbeat now. I can feel the noise of the crowd, even when it's quiet. I can feel every run I've ever made, the good ones and the ones I want to forget. I can feel how much this matters, and I am one nod away from either of those things happening again. Great or empty. And the box doesn't care which one it is. The box just holds you until you decide. That nod, the one I had to choose with everything on the line, that is the one I want to talk about. Because that is the one that taught me something I've carried my whole life. Now the third is I'm not the roper anymore. I'm standing in the stands at Cheyenne Frontier Days, one of the most famous rodeos in all of the world. And I am watching my boys, my sons, men now, backing into that same box I've backed into. And I cannot throw the rope for them. I cannot nod their heads. All I can do is watch them choose. And I can tell you, there is nothing in this world quite like watching someone you love back into the corner and decide to go anyway. I had great runs in my life. Runs where everything opened up just right and the loop landed clean and the rope popped, and I knew before it was over that it was good. I have felt that. I know what that feels like, but I want to be honest with you because that's what this podcast is for. The no times hung with me longer. The runs where I came out of that box and gave everything I had and still came home with nothing on the clock. Those are the ones that replayed. Those are the ones that had a loud voice. And that voice was not kind. Maybe you know that voice. Maybe yours doesn't come from a rodeo arena. Maybe it comes from a relationship that didn't work out the way you had hoped. Or a dream you went after that didn't land the way you planned. Or a moment where you were brave and it didn't go well. And part of you has been a little more careful ever since. The no times, we all carry them. But here is what I know now, and this is the thing I wish someone had told me in that box a long time ago. The no times are not the evidence that you shouldn't have thrown. They are the proof that you showed up, that you backed in, that you nodded your head, even when the outcome wasn't guaranteed. And that is not failure. That is the whole definition of living big. The process, the journey, the learning, that is what this life is. Not the perfect runs, though we celebrate those. Not the no times, though we learn from those. It's the willingness to keep backing into the box, to keep feeling everything and going anyway, to ride alongside the fear instead of waiting for it to leave. I started this podcast because I have backed into a lot of boxes in my life, and I have coiled up more than I knew. More love, more hard-won wisdom, more grace than I've had words for. And the voice got clear. It said, "It's not going to get any better than this. The people who need what you have are running. Open your loop and throw." You don't have to have grown up on a ranch to know that moment. You just have to have lived long enough to have been afraid of something that mattered and gone anyway, or wanted to, or wondered if you still could. That's why you're here, and that's why I'm here too. Here's what I know as a brain health coach, and what I knew long before I ever had the science to back it up, because the arena taught me first. Fear lives in a part of your brain called the amygdala. Is a small almond-shaped structure in the brain's temporal lobe. It's part of the limbic system, your brain's ancient emotional processing center. Its primary job is threat detection, and it responds in milliseconds, faster than conscious thought. When it fires, it triggers the stress response. Cortisol and adrenaline floods your system. Your heart rate spikes, your muscles tension, and your whole body says, do not go. This is not a character flaw. This is a survival system, and it is very good at its job. But here's the problem. The amygdala cannot tell the difference between a calf running at 60 feet and a hard conversation at the kitchen table. To your brain, vulnerability can feel exactly like danger. So it does what it was built to do. It says, stay in the corner. Do not go. This is not safe. But here is what's also true. And this is where the science gets beautiful. There's another region at work when you choose vulnerability anyway. The prefrontal cortex. This is the brain's executive center, the part responsible for reasoning, judgment, planning, and most important, regulating the amygdala's alarm signal. When you breathe, you pause. When you back into that corner intentionally and choose, you are literally engaging your prefrontal cortex to work with your fear, not run from it. And there's more. The anterior cingulate cortex helps mediate between emotion and reason, helps you to hold both the fear and the choice to go at the same time. That's not weakness. That is the most sophisticated thing a human brain can do. And here's the part the arena taught me before any textbook did. Breakaway ropers don't practice to stop being nervous. They practice until the throw is more familiar. And here's the part the arena taught me before any textbook did. Breakaway ropers don't practice to stop being nervous. They practice until the throw is more familiar than the fear. Repetition builds what neuroscientists call myelination, the process of coating neural pathways with a fatty sheath that makes single transmission faster and more automatic. Every time you practice a skill, a throw, a conversation, a courageous choice, you are literally rewiring your brain to make that response more available under pressure. The technical term for this is neuroplasticity. The ranch term for this is practice until it's in your bones. Dr. Daniel Amen's research shows that targeted, repeated, healthy behaviors actually change brain structure. Your brain is not fixed. It is a living organ that grows in the direction you aim it. That is exactly what we're doing here, together on this podcast, one episode at a time. We are practicing so that when your moment comes, and it will come, your loop is open, your arm knows what to do, and the only thing left is the choice to let it fly. Fear says, stay in the corner. It's safer here. Vulnerability says, I feel everything you feel, and I am nodding anyway. They are not enemies, but they cannot both drive. Fear will never spur you forward. Only you can do that. Only grace can make you want to. I started this podcast because of a lot of things. But if I'm being honest with you right here in the beginning, I want you to know something about why brain health matters so much to me. I lost my brother to frontotemporal dementia. I carry him with me into every conversation I have about what it means to protect your brain, and still refuse to hold back from living. Because grief has a way of making things very clear. We are not promised tomorrow. We are promised right now. So we do the hard work. We learn what we can. We protect the brain God gave us. And then we live big anyway. That is what this podcast is. That's what Launch Your Throw means. Not reckless, not fearless, just willing to back into the box, feel everything, and go anyway. Because the people we love who cannot live big anymore deserve nothing less from us. I have spent a lifetime on a ranch, in an arena, in coaching rooms, and hard seasons, and beautiful ones. And somewhere in all of that, I have coiled up more than I knew, more love, more learning, more grace than I have had words for. So that's what this is. This podcast is my throw and my hope. I really hope that somewhere in this episode, you felt your loop open a little, that you recognized your box, that the voice got a little louder. I'm not asking you to do anything big this week. I'm just asking you to notice, what is the thing you've been circling? What's the conversation, the dream, the truth that keeps coming back around? You don't have to throw today, but I want you to feel what it is in your heart, because that feeling, that's not fear. That's the beginning of something. Where gumption meets grace and real life gets lived out loud, you're not behind. You're not broken. You are one breath away from the life grace has for you. Real stories, real struggles, real grace. Take the breath. Lean in. I'm Lisa Anders, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.